This week, the HPT is in the fields of opportunity at Meskwaki Casino and Hotel in Tama, Iowa. Over $300,000 is in the prize pool, and over 200 players sat down ready to battle for the $90,000 championship prize. After a weekend of grinding through this competitive field, the final 6 are set. One is making his 4th HPT final table, and another is making his 2nd. Both men are looking to attain the elusive HPT championship they've been so close to, while the other 4 talented players at this final table are hoping to make their own mark in the HPT history books. 90 grand and an HPT championship are waiting for the last man standing.
Hey, my name's Brett Dolan.
My name is Ken Rushez.
My name is Ray Bendijo.
My name's Steve Wilbur.
My name's John Lepchinsky.
My name's Tim Thompson. I'm from Maple Park, Illinois. To try to take down this championship, I'm going to try play the same way I have to get here, and hopefully that it got me this far. Hopefully it'll get me to take it out.
I'm just going to play my cards that I get, and I'm going to play them right, I hope.
I'm extremely excited, just trying to keep the money out of my head and just worry about winning.
Hopefully, if I keep playing the way I always do, play the players more than the cards, how I play my game.
Mom, I'm here at the final table. I'm the chip leader, and I'm going to take this down for you. I love you.
They come from all walks of life, each with a story to tell. All they need is a chip and a chair. It's an open casting call for those who love the game. This ain't your weekend home game. This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face. You with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game. Talk trash all you want. To me, it's all the same. You won't leave with much when you come in second place. I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gonna cry to your mama cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Welcome back to the HPT from Meskwaki Casino Hotel in Tama, Iowa, just outside of Des Moines. I'm Chris Hansen, and to my left is a man who, just until this last week, thought that cornrows were only a hairstyle. He's Fred Bevel. Fred, we've been coming to Meskwaki Casino for years, and once again, the casino is packed, the hotel is sold out, everyone is having a blast. And Fred, you know what is great about the HPT events? They're kind of like a spring break atmosphere.
They are, except college kids on spring break are playing for unreal money like these folks are about to. Over 300 grand was on the line when we started this main event, and over $90,000 will be going to our next HPT champion. This TV final table is stacked. 2 players have been at the HPT final table before, 2 others playing in their very first HPT event, and the other 2 have HPT experience and are very excited to finally make this TV final table. All of them have a shot at HPT immortality.
Kind of like the HPT veterans versus the HPT rookies here tonight at our final table. So let's meet the players that are around the felt and then get right to the action.
In seat number 1, here's a familiar face to our final table. This is Ray Bendijo from Ramsey, Minnesota. He's a general contractor making his 4th final table and his 6th cash. Ray has won almost $68,000 on the HPT over the last couple of years.
In seat number 2, this is Ken Rusheisen from Janesville, Wisconsin. Got his wife Karen on the rail rooting him today. He's played a total of 10 HPT events. This will be his biggest cash so far.
In seat number 3, this is Tim Thompson from Maple Park, Illinois. He's a plumbing contractor celebrating over 30 years of owning his own business. This man is pure stud. Drove 245 miles on his motorcycle from his home in Maple Park, Illinois, here to Tama, Iowa.
In seat number 4, this is Steve Wilbur from Ottumwa, Iowa. He's an ER director, and when asked what his strategy for this final table was, he said, simple, I just have to play better than normal.
Well, not so bad. Brett Dolan is the gentleman in the 5 seat. He is a student from the University of Iowa, only been playing poker for a few years, says he plans to use his prize money to study abroad in London and pay for college. It's far too responsible for my book.
And finally, in seat 6, this is John Lepchinsky. He's a student from Urbandale, Iowa, plans to invest 90% of his prize money that he wins here at our final table, but Fred, he's in for just $45, looking at $90K for first place.
That is a great ROI. Second place is going to leave with a little over $45,000. Everybody at this final table right now is guaranteed to cash for a little over 15 grand.
And here's what everyone is starting with at our final table. We have a couple of millionaires in chips. Brett is brushing $2 million, and John right now with exactly $1 million. Our short stack is Ray, but Fred, even with 9% of the chips in play, we've seen less than 1% of the chips in play to start our final table. Take it all down, so it's still anybody's poker match.
Blind starting off at this final 6 at 20 and 40,000 with a 5,000 chip ante.
And Steve folds, so we're going to start with Brett. Brett's going to raise it up to 85,000. Over to John. And John is thinking over ace-9. And he will decide to fold. And now over to Ray. Ray will fold. And now to Ken. Ken folds. Final option will be Tim's. 6-10 offsuit. Tim will make the call out of the big blind for an extra 45,000 in chips. So we're heads up with Tim and Brett, and here comes our first flop of the night. It is ace, king, deuce with a couple of diamonds.
Brett's flop second pair. Tim absolutely nothing.
And they both check.
Let's go ahead and see the turn.
So here comes the turn. The turn is a queen.
Tim's going to check. He's picked up a straight draw with the turn. Brett with a pair of kings still going to check. That ace-high board might be slowing down the action a little bit.
Chip leader playing very cautious here in our first hand. And the river, it is a jack, and all of a sudden 10 high becomes the best hand.
Tim has rivered the nuts here, and Brett slow played himself into a loser.
Well, Tim looks like he's going to bet the river.
$140.
Tim makes a bet of
And Tim is going to bet 140,000 back to Brett.
And Brett has second pair. It was good all the way until the river. Let's see if he pays Tim off here.
Takes a quick look and decides to fold. And wow, very cautious play from the chip leader. It cost him a small pot there, but man, you bet on the flop or the turn, he takes that pot down. But instead, Tim is going to win the first hand of the evening.
Fun final table we have assembled here. Ken Rushheisen, Ray Stingray Bendijo making his fourth final table. Looking down at ace-6 offsuit.
Ray will fold. And now to Ken. Ken folds. Over to Tim. He will fold.
7-4 offsuit for the nurse. And he is going to fold his button.
And Brett's going to limp in with 10 jack. And now to John in the big blind with 7-3 of diamonds. As we play here, keep in mind, sixth place tonight takes 15,000 in cash. We work all the way up to 90,000 for our newest HPT champion. And here comes the flop. It's 8-7-5 rainbow.
Well, John flops second pair, pulls ahead in this hand. Brett's picked up a gut shot straight draw.
See what the chip leader is going to do. After checking through a couple of opportunities to bet and win the last hand, it doesn't look like he's going to be checking here.
It's a blind versus blind hand. He's got two overcards to the flop and a gut shot draw. Why not fire out a little bit and see if it's good?
65,000 is the little bit. And now to John. These two players are chip leaders at this final table.
John elects to just smooth call this.
And now here comes the turn. It is a 3.
It gets even better for John. Now he's got two pair. Brett still with the gut shot draw.
Brett's a student at the University of Iowa. He's been playing poker for about 3 years. And I believe he's the first avid skydiver ever to sit at one of our final tables. That's not a hobby that just anyone can take up.
No. 160.
I'm sorry.
And Brett's going to jump out of the plane and fire 160,000. He does have that second barrel.
And now John with 2 pair here. Second spade popped up on the turn. The texture is pretty wet. A lot of straight cards out there. See if he chooses to just smooth call again or go ahead and raise.
I think the best bet here is probably just a smooth call, survive the river, and get a check and scoop a pot.
A lot of bad poker players would play it that way. I say you raise it on up.
And a call. Call has been made.
All right, well, let's see how it works out. John does flat call.
All right, I didn't mean that, John. I don't think you're a bad poker player.
He thinks I'm a bad poker player.
No, I know you are.
And here comes the river. The river is a 5, and boy, it just got even more interesting. Another spade pairing the board.
Yeah, that's an action killer river right there. I can't see either player putting more into this pot.
Well, this is exactly what I was thinking for John. Now, if you can check, you're going to win $500,000 chips. Let's see if Brett decides to fire out again on the river after betting both the flop and the turn. Keep in mind, this was blind versus blind.
Well, you can see Brett, he's squirming a little bit in his chair. He just isn't sure what to do right now.
Where John looks cool and comfortable, happy to probably call whatever bet Brett is going to shove out there.
And he is going to go ahead and check. He's done investing money into this pot. See if John fires a value bet. Nope, I didn't think he would. He's going to check it down. 2 pair is going to be good. $500,000 pot going to John's way.
An apology would sure be nice, Fred.
Just for what?
John and me win this hand and $500,000 in chips. More poker when we come back on the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT in Tama, Iowa, just outside of Des Moines with Fred Bevel. I'm Chris Hansen. Let's take a look at our updated chip count with that last hand. John now takes over the chip lead with $1.5 million in chips.
Short stack is still Ray Bendijo with only 8% of the chips in play, but no need to panic yet.
Blinds have gone up, now at 30 and 60,000.
Actions on Tim Thompson with ace-king suited. Hate that hand.
Or raise. Raise.
That's the worst thing you can do.
Tim finally gets to raise here after calling the last couple of hands he's been involved in, and he's going to put them all in. Almost $500,000. Oh boy.
This is going to get dangerous.
Pocket queens for Steve.
Steve has no choice here but to call. His stack is just at that right size. You got to get it in sooner or later.
And we raise it all in by Steve in seat 4, Fred, a full by seat 5.
Actions folded around now to Ray. Our short stack would love to see somebody eliminated. He will fold. And Ken is going to fold, so we're going to be heads up with a race between Tim and Steve.
I'm going to go ahead and pull out a coin, Chris. You make the call. Heads or tails?
Flip it 10 times, I say tails.
Well, Tim is hoping to find some clubs or some paint on the flop. Steve hoping those queens hold up through the river.
And here we go. Here comes the flop. It is 7, ace, 9. No waiting for Tim. He finds the ace on the flop to pull ahead.
And Steve goes from slightly ahead to heavily dominated.
And the turn is a 5 of hearts. Neither one of these players have a heart in their hand.
Steve is hoping to find one of the last 2 queens on the river, or he is going to have hardly anything left in his stack.
And the river. It is a 7 of hearts and Tim's ace-king. Put another one up for ace-king getting there, and pocket pair not holding up.
Yeah, so it's got ace-king.
Whenever I have ace-king, it never gets there. I got to read more books. How to hit the flop with ace-king.
Well, Tim loves that he hit the flop, and right now Steve is thinking, great, pocket queens, great hand that just went down in flames.
And Steve pretty much all in, I would assume, in this next hand. He doesn't have a whole lot. He's going to be the big blind the next hand.
And he is, well, he's under the gun, and now he's all in with pocket 5s.
Why not? Action folded around to Stingray. He's going to fold over to Ken.
You know, I always say my favorite time to go all in is under the gun. There's the most chance of people calling you all the way around the table.
Sure.
Maybe get your double up or triple up. We'll see what happens.
I don't think so.
Ken asking if Steve is on tilt. Ken is going to call with his pocket sixes. All right, so now to Tim in the big blind, King 10 of spades.
Well, Tim has the option to just check, and that's what he's going to do. We're going to be three-handed on our way to a flop with one player at risk.
So we have 3 players. Tim, let's go ahead and see the flop.
And Steve's tournament life is on the line. Here comes the flop. The flop is 9-10 jack with a couple of spades.
Well, neither of our baby pairs hit anything, but Tim flops the world here. He's got the flush draw, the straight flush draw, and second pair. He's going to go ahead and bet.
We can beat him.
Yep. Ken fold, and we see.
And Ken is going to fold. And so Steve and his pocket fives are up against Tim and his world full of draws.
Steve hoping to find a 5 on the turn of the river here.
5s. I'm sorry, the 10s.
Well, he hasn't beat.
Are in the lead here. See, the 10s are in the lead.
You got a big plus a flush draw. You're in very good
But
shape.
the 10s are in the lead. Let's go ahead and see.
All right, so Steve's tournament life is on the line. Here comes the turn. It is an ace. And now Steve down to just 2 outs on the river.
10s. Timothy, let's go ahead and see that river card.
And the river. It is an 8 of diamonds, and that will do it for the RN from Ottumwa, Iowa. Steve Wilbur is going to be eliminated first here at our final table.
All right, Steve, you're going out in 6th place. Let's talk about the hand. You had the queens there. It turns into a coin toss against the ace-king. You lose the hand, and that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it, yeah. Then the last hand was just the pocket fives, and just got outflopped. So not much you can do in those situations. You got to play those hands.
So Steve is first to hit the cage and collect his winnings here at our final table. More poker 5-handed when we come back on the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT as we're winding down on Season 7. This week's stop is Tama, Iowa at Meskwaki Casino Hotel. And let's take a look at the updated chip counts. Ken, Brett, and John right now are over 1 million in chips. Ray, the short stack as he has been, but has to be pretty happy about watching a guy go out in front of him.
Ray, along with everybody else at the final table here, is enjoying a $3,000 pay raise with the elimination of Steve Wilbur.
Stingray looks down at suited cards. He's from Ramsey, Minnesota, making his 4th final table on the HPT.
Ray looked like he wanted to get it in with that hand, but chose wisely and mucked.
Over to Ken.
Ken's going to fold. Over to our motorcycle rider, Tim Thompson. Logs about 12,000 miles a year on his motorcycle.
5-seat.
And now to Brett.
Brett's going to make the call.
Brett limps in with pocket kings.
Brett trying to see if the other young gun at the table will pull out a big raise here to try to steal the blinds. He chooses wisely and just checks his option with gap connectors.
All right, Tim, let's go ahead and see the flop, sir.
And so we'll see a flop between Brett and John. And here is the flop. It is ace 9-3. The kings always will bring an ace on that flop.
Well, Brett can't be too afraid of the ace here. John didn't raise or anything, and he's checking behind.
Go ahead and see the turn.
And here comes the turn. The turn is a 6. Straight draw now for John.
All right, the action will start with seat 5.
Brett once hit a hole-in-one in golf. Says he just runs good in life. No one likes a bragger, Brett.
Well, he's ready to bet his pocket kings.
And the bet is 60.
Got to bet 60,000.
By seat number 5, Brett. 60K.
And that's a cheap enough bet. I think John's going to go ahead and see a river here. He's got a double belly buster, as Doyle Brunson calls it. Why not? Only 60,000 into over 200,000 pot.
And I guarantee you somewhere in the recesses of Brett's mind, he's wishing he raised with his pocket kings. Here's the river. It is a deuce.
We start with
John was hoping to find a 4 or an 8. A blank deuce falls on the river, and now Brett's got the best hand.
Might have another check coming up here on the river between these two players.
Well, Brett's got to be thinking if he has the ace, I got a loser. If he called on a draw, he's probably not going to invest any more in the pot. But he is still going to go for a little value here with the pocket kings.
110,000.
Going to fire 110,000.
I think John is doing what we call in the industry faking like I actually had something that I'm considering and end up fold anyways. And so Brett, the man who came to this final table as our chip leader, got some of the chips back that he lost to John earlier. And Ken is going to be first to act. 30 and 60,000 are the blinds with a 5K ante. We're winding down on Season 7 of the HPT. Whoever wins here tonight will also get a seat at the year-end HPT Championship Open that is coming up just weeks away, and that is in Mount Pleasant, Michigan at Soaring Eagle Casino.
And a fold. 5 over to John and the small.
Back to blind versus blind. It's King 8 offsuit for John. He's going to go all in, and Ray quickly makes the call.
Absolutely. John figured, you know what, I'm just going to pick off the big blind of the short stack here. Well, what he didn't count on was that Ray wakes up with a good hand, although John is in the lead.
Well, Ray, you know, the blinds are getting high. His stack is low. He's going to call with less than premium.
Absolutely.
John might have misstepped here by just shoving.
Awesome.
Ray's going to the flop with 2 live cards.
And here we go. The flop is 9-9 Jack. Ray does pull ahead.
Ray pulls ahead by flopping top pair here, but he still has some outs to fade.
I'd watch him.
John hoping to find a king or one of the cards he's going to need to help with a straight on the turn here.
And the turn is an ace.
Right, Ray is currently in the lead.
Ray likes the turn. Now John just down to a king.
And the river is a 10, and so Stingray is going to double up. It seems like just yesterday that we met Ray Bandijo, but now after playing in 12 HPT events and 6 cashes, he's finally sitting back again at the final table.
My name is Ray Bandijo, and I go by Stingray, and I'm from Minnesota in Ramsey. I'm a general contractor, and I'm really fortunate and very happy to be here, to be at the final table, my 4th one, and it's been a long time since I've been back. My HPT resume basically consists of 4 final tables, 3 times in Minnesota, once here in Iowa, and probably a total of about 68,000 in HPT cash winning. Well, I've been so close every time. Second is the best I've done. I'd like to finish first for the first time, and with some fortune and some good cards, hopefully I can get there at this time. Well, if I did win this cash, I definitely would, like everyone else does, pay off some bills and maybe save some to do some more HPT in the future. I call it gravy at this point when you get to this point there. Just play the best you can and hope for the best.
Ray does have his Lucky Charm daughter, Jocelyn, in the audience, cheering him on the rail here today.
I already had my
Drove the not-so-long drive from Minnesota to come join her dad at the final table. All right, action is folding around to the button.
Tim folds.
And John folded. Now to Stingray.
Stingray's got some chips in his stack now. He can start playing some poker. You can see in his body language, he's perked up a little bit. He's like, hey, I'm back in this.
Got the nickname of Stingray because he's always just kind of hanging around, and the next thing you know, he stings you, takes all your chips. And he has done just that, doubling up here. We'll see what he does with those fresh chips. The flop is ace-6-6.
No help for Ray here, but he still has the best hand with Jack high.
Ray's going to check. Ken's going to check as well.
Ken elects to check behind.
Let's go ahead and see that turn card, please.
And the turn is a 3.
Ken picks up the flush draw. Ray smartly checks. Ken, he's just going to go ahead and check behind.
May I please see the river card?
And so here comes the river in a blind versus blind battle again. And the river is a jack of diamonds, giving Ray 2 pair and Ken the flush.
Well, Ray checks, and Ken checks his card, strokes his beard. Now he's going to fire a bet.
60,000 is the bet from Ken.
And that's just enough for Ray to pay him off with his 2 pair. Ken's going to show the rivered flush.
And so Ken is going to take some of the newly acquired chips from Stingray, and we'll be right back on the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT with Fred Bevel. I'm Chris Hansen. $90,000 in cash on the line tonight. And Fred, there is a big difference when it comes to playing cash versus tournament poker. Who better to explain this to us than 2004 World Series of Poker main event champion Greg Raymer with tonight's pro tip of the week.
Now, when you're watching the Heartland Poker Tour, what you're seeing is tournament poker. And most of the poker shows on TV involve tournament poker, but there are some cash game shows. But in the real world of the poker game, most of it's cash games. So when you go out there to your local casino to play, you'll probably be playing cash games more often than tournaments. The strategy for the two is very, very different. In a tournament, your job is to accumulate all of the chips. And if you go broke in a tournament, there's really no difference in going broke on the first hand, the 10th hand, the 100th hand. Unless you make it deep enough to cash, then you really don't care when you go broke. Obviously, that's not true in a cash game. In a cash game, it does matter because every chip you didn't lose spends the same as every chip that you won. So you have to play every hand perfectly. You have to try to accumulate chips without losing chips. And you can't take wild risks just because sometimes it'll pay off and make you a chip leader. Being a chip leader at the cash table really doesn't matter. It only matters how many chips you have at the end of the day.
You know, Fred, a wise man once told me to repeat this mantra as I sit down at a tournament poker table. This isn't a cash game, and I cannot buy any more chips.
I like playing cash more with you, actually, than I do a tournament.
We'll take care of it.
You're what they call a feeder.
Because I do know that I can always go buy more chips until there is no more money in the wallet.
Or the ATM machine.
Which reminds me, I'm just a couple hours away from a brand new ATM day.
Live the dream, my friend.
Action is around to Tim.
Tim in the threes.
He's going to limp in out of the small blind.
5. Brett, who checks the options.
And Brett checks his option with Queen 5 of diamonds, so the college student will take on the plumbing contractor.
Not a whole lot of aggression so far at this final table.
Flop is 7, 10, 5.
Tim flops the best here with a pair of 7s. Brett also hit this flop. He's got bottom pair with a pair of 5s.
And here comes Tim with a bet. He bets 100,000.
100,000 is the bet by seat 310.
I call.
Brett's going to make the call. He puts the chips in the middle, and so we will see a turn between Tim and Brett.
Still 2 players. How about we see that turn card?
Let's see that beautiful turn card.
And here we go. The turn is another 5. What a great call in the flop from Brett. He now has trip 5s.
And Tim fires another bullet. That's the big chip. The oranges are worth 10,000.
Oh boy, that's 200,000 now from Tim. And if you're Brett, there is no reason to raise here.
Brett announces he's going to need a minute. He's going to go into the tank. Brett only been playing poker for a few years. Wants to take his prize money, go study abroad in London. I've been to London. There's nothing special about London.
Ever since I heard there were werewolves there, I've stayed away.
Go to Maine. It's the same thing. Better food.
So Brett considering what to do. He has asked for another inventory of Tim's chips.
Wants to probably find out how much Tim is committed to this pot.
I think Brett right now is also trying to make it look like he is the one who thinks that Tim just hit the second 5 on the turn.
Anyone that jacket the river, I said,
I'm not sure if Brett is Hollywooding here or if he legitimately is worried.
Brett announcing that raise after a long thought process. To me, that just stinks. It just stinks to the whole table that there is something going on here. You've asked for the chip count twice of your competitor. Then all of a sudden, what, you've just decided now to throw it all away and say, okay, I guess I'm just going to raise.
Turned out to be a great card for me. Turned out to be a great card for me.
480.
He's only going to raise it to 480, a little bit more than a min raise here, making the pot over $1 million in chips. Both players going for the Oscar here. I can't imagine Tim's thinking of calling this, but he's scooting some chips out of his stack.
Well, you know, Tim is a plumbing contractor, has been for the past 30 years.
Well, then you'd think he could smell something coming.
He's seen plenty of crap in his day.
He is going to lay it down. And Brett, I think Brett was legitimately stressed out there.
Brett wins.
Had to stand up, stretch the legs a little bit.
Brett, an update for you as well.
You know, only playing poker a few years, here you are on a worldwide television broadcast.
Gentlemen, like I had said before, we will only be
playing for just over $90,000 in cash. It works out for Brett, but I'm still going to think that he left some money on the table there.
Blinds remain at 30 and 60,000 with a 5,000 chip ante.
Ray Bendijo from Ramsey, Minnesota. Will fold, and now to Ken.
What, you got my ante?
Ken's been the quiet monster at this final table. Hasn't played a whole lot. Only seen him in a couple of hands so far.
That's Ken.
Ken's looking down at 8-4, which gets folded over to Tim. And we're back to the blinds. Here, I'll just scoop these off to the side. Love that feeling.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
I call.
Ace-10 offsuit for Brett Dolan.
Over here on seat number 6. It's John.
Just makes the call.
And now to John. John checks his option with 9-7 offsuit. And so once again, it's a blind versus blind battle with John and Brett. And here comes the flop. It's 7-10 ace with 2 hearts.
Ding, fries are done for Brett. He's flopped top 2 pair. John's also flopped bottom pair.
Brett is first to act.
Well, we just saw Brett in deep deliberation with trip 5s. Here he is flopping top 2.
$75K is the bet from Brett. Over to John and his bottom pair. Just $45 is all that John has into this tournament, from a single table satellite to the final table. Not a bad run for a couple of days, stepping up the ladders.
Guaranteed at least $18,000. That's a good return on your investment, no doubt. He is going to make the call. On to the turn we go.
And the turn is a 7. Oh my goodness.
160.
Wow, 160 is the bet. Uh-oh, both hands are being implemented, and a couple of big stacks of orange are about ready to be placed out. It looks like John is raising. Sure enough.
A raise by John here, Fred.
And the bet looks like 485,000.
The total is 485.
This sucks.
Yeah, you're in a bit of a pickle, my friend. No doubt about it. Well, you can't blame him for making the call. Yeah, certainly a fold here would make him look like a rock star.
And this is where players at home are saying, oh, I would do this and oh, I do that. But hey, guess what? You're not sitting at the table playing for 90K, and Brett decides he's going to move all in. The biggest hand by far of the night.
Pot approaching $2 million in chips.
Call has been made.
He's going to make the call, and he's going to find out he's made a great call.
Brett shows his 2 pair, and John quickly turns over his 9-7. And that is exactly what Brett did not want to see.
Brett is now hoping for an ace or a 10 on the river.
Trip 7 is currently in the lead.
Darvin Moon, HPT Tour Ambassador, one of the many interested railbirds on this hand.
Here comes the river for a monster pot and a huge chip lead either way. And the river is a 5. John doubles up through Brett, and right now, Brett's worst dreams are coming true.
My name is John Lapchinsky. I'm from Urbandale, Iowa. If I win tonight, celebration. There's a lot of friends coming on their way here right now. I have a test tomorrow in school, but it'll get wild tonight. It'll be a good time. I just got off the phone with my dad. It's his 55th birthday today. He's pretty excited, and all day I was gonna keep calling and say, hey, you should drive down, because it's like 3 hours, but I didn't want him to start driving and then me get knocked out. So I called and let him know the good news, and he's ecstatic. So it'd be a great birthday present, I think, to let him know I won 90K.
John, obviously a very bright guy. He can crunch numbers, and time again you see people who are good at crunching numbers, very good at playing poker. And right now, Fred, he has got $2.2 million in chips, and after that disastrous hand for Brett, he has now dropped down to $620,000.
Ray Bendijo, the short stack since we started this final table, hanging on. He's going to be in the big blind in this hand.
Ken looks down at 6-9 of spades. So much action down at the other end with Brett and John. I even forgot there were 3 other players at the table. The plumber folds over to Brett. He's got ace-7, and he is all in.
And that could be seen as a steam bet. Just lost a monster hand, doubling up a player, and oh no, here we go. John wakes up with ace-queen. He's going to go all in to isolate. Ray quickly gets out of the way.
And you can just feel it coming off of Brett right now. This is 2 hands where everything was going great, and all of a sudden, everything is going terrible.
Boy, that is no-limit tournament poker, isn't it? Brett's hoping to find some spades on this flop or a 7 right in the window.
John is currently in the lead on this hand. So please, Timothy, may I please see the flop?
And here we go. Here comes the flop. The flop is 8, 5, 10.
No help for Brett there. No spades, no 7.
And the turn is a jack.
Well, that opens up a couple of more outs for Brett. Now he has a gut shot straight draw. He's hoping for a 9 or a 7 on the river.
See that river card.
Hey! What a river! 7 of diamonds falls, pulling Brett out of the fire.
And the look on Brett's face says it all. He looks over at John and says, okay, I got some chips back. Thank you. Thank you very much.
He almost looks like he's sorry.
I threw a 7 away, too.
And John handling it like a champ. He's just going to pay him off, move on to the next hand, and suddenly Brett Dolan,
wow,
right back in it.
Here we were just talking about how John had such a nice chip lead. Guess not anymore. Blinds are now up 40 and 80,000 with a 10K ante. That double up came just in time for Brett.
And now it looks like it's Ray Bendijo who's going all in with ace-jack.
He's going to raise all in.
You're picking up over 150,000 just with the blinds and antes by going all in. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Ray do it 2 or 3 times in a row. He is all in with ace-jack.
That's all I have.
Yeah, I know. All in min raise.
Yeah, Ray stack is so short, it's not much more for Tim to call.
Tim is going to make.
Just heard him say it. I should fold these, but
I'm going to call. I should fold
Tim
them.
flips over 5 tray.
My name is.
Well, Tim is behind, but Tim is live. Ray hoping to fade some outs.
Ray's doubled up once to stay alive. Let's see if he can do it again. The flop is 3, king, 8, and Tim is pulled ahead.
Just like that, Ray's ace-jack falls behind. He's hoping to get lucky now on the turn of the river.
And the turn is another 8.
Well, that turn actually helped Ray out a little bit. Now a king, an ace, or a jack, and he'll double up.
And the river.
Oh.
It is another 3, and that gives Tim a full house, and that will do it for Ray Bendijo. It's going to have to be final table appearance number 5 to get his first HPT championship.
Now, being that this is your 4th final table, it raises your HPT total amount in winnings to over $86,000. You're playing great on this tour.
Well, I tried to.
And I'm sure we will see you down the road for sure.
Oh, definitely. I enjoyed the tour and enjoyed the guys.
Well, after Ray's elimination, things definitely have tightened up here. Ken, Brett, and John are all within 25, 30,000 chips of one another. And then you got Tim, who's our new short stack at 650K. Let's get back to the action.
Tim doubles up through anyone at this final table, and it's going to be a big swing. Blinds continuing on at 40 and 80,000 with a 10,000 chip ante.
John folds, and now we're over to Ken. He folds to Tim.
Go over to Tim.
Tim, who said, I probably should fold, but I'm going to call last time, eliminated Stingray.
And once again, we have a limped pot against blind versus blind. Not a whole lot of aggression pre-flop from this final table, even after a couple of eliminations.
Let's go ahead and see a flop.
And here we go. The flop is 7, 9, 9 with 2 clubs.
Well, this is an interesting flop. Brett's got an open-ended straight draw. Tim flops 2 pair. Tim checks, choosing not to bet his hand. Let's see if Brett's going to semi-bluff with his draw.
One time.
Brett and C5.
110,000 is the bet from Brett.
Well, I don't see Tim going anywhere here, not with a little piece of this.
And we'll go back to
playing 4-handed poker right now. Pairs get a lot more value at this stage of the tournament. But not in Tim's book. He's going to fold the best hand, and Brett's semi-bluff works.
So Tim is going to fold. Brett picks up another hand. And for this student from the University of Iowa, I think he's got this poker thing maybe figured out.
Hey, my name's Brett Dolan. Yeah, if I win this, I'm definitely going to still be a student, play more events on the side. I'm a business student at University of Iowa, and probably going to major in finance and have an entrepreneurship certificate. Yeah, just something I'd like to say. Mom, I love you. She doesn't know I'm playing in this event. She just thinks I'm at my apartment on this Sunday afternoon watching football. I'm going to try wait till it comes out on TV and just tell her to tune in and see what happens from there. Mom, I'm here at the final table. I'm the chip leader, and I'm going to take this down for you. I love you.
Welcome back to the HPT. Let's take a look at our updated chip count here at the final table. We're playing four-handed for $90,000 in cash.
Tim, still the short stack with only 12% of the chips in play. The top is very crowded. Only 10,000 separate Ken from John.
Here will be the receipt of Tim.
Action is going to be back to Tim. Asked Tim how he felt about playing on TV. He says, I don't know, I've never done it before. Well, and considering we interviewed him before we started the final table, well played, sir, well played.
He's got Queen Jack offsuit right now, and it looks like he's not going to be limping this time. Finally starting to see a raise pre-flop here at this final table.
And it's a nice raise. Raise it up to $240,000.
Over to the student, Brett Dolan. He's got suited connectors.
310.
With the blinds getting where they are, you start making raises to $240,000. You have a lot of serious decisions to make if someone comes back over the top of you.
Brett's going to fold over to John. He's going to make the big bet, gets it all in. Ken quickly folds, and Tim quickly calls.
I think you're going to see John be a little surprised by the Queen-Jack call.
Thank you.
Come on now.
We can see John going, I've got the best of it. Can it survive the board?
So it's Queen Jack going against
You can tap into John's brain right now. You're thinking little, 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 little. Here comes the flop. The flop is Queen 7-5. One of the bigs showed up, and it makes Tim a pair of queens.
Tim pulls way ahead in this hand, and now it's John hoping to get lucky on the turn of the river.
And the turn is a jack, and John still in the same spot, needs a 3 on the river.
Darvin Moon standing right next to John. He'll be there for the hug if it doesn't hit, buddy.
I have never seen Darvin hug a grown man. Here comes the river. The river is a 10, and now Tim is going to double up, and John is going to take his spot as the short stack at this final table.
It's like 750 total.
Well, that's two bad beats John has taken at this final table. The first came from Brett Dolan with a Miracle River, and now this time his pocket pair falls to the 2 overs.
Again, next person leaving walks with 21,000. Blind still 40 and 80,000. Brett folds. John will fold 9 deuce. And it's King Jack of diamonds for Ken Roscheisen.
40.
Ken's cutting out a raise.
We haven't seen Ken raise a lot pre-flop. This should raise some red flags for the other players at this final table.
80 more.
160 is the raise.
Ooh, just min raises it. That can scare some players, but it also makes it real tempting to call.
And Tim once again has an ace in the big blind. One of these times I'd like to see Tim really defend it and make a raise, not just keep calling out of the big blind. Especially four-handed with an ace, small blind, maybe just pushing you around. Let's raise it up and see what he's really up to. But nonetheless, he makes the call, and now here comes the flop. It is 6-5 deuce with 2 clubs.
No help for either of these players. Tim still ahead with ace high.
And here comes Ken, ready to bet.
Ken plays very much by the book. He's the pre-flop raiser, meaning he's going to fire a continuation bet.
And if I'm Tim, I'm looking at the chips that he is grabbing, and I'm looking at the board, and I'm thinking, you've got none of that. This is absolutely a continuation bet. I pop him right here. Make him pay.
Let's see if Tim is on your wavelength.
Well, for his sanity, I hope he's not. It's a lot easier to say from up here than it is from down there.
That's the truth.
But I guarantee you there's a lot of players who agree with me who think, what could he have hit on that flop that would make him continuation bet?
Well, Ken probably figured him for a pocket pair there and went ahead and let go of ace high. And Ken's going to scoop another pot. He's slowly building that stack. You haven't seen him get involved in too many big pots at this final table.
Nothing fancy, just stacking chips. Well, Freddie, we're going to have to wait till next time to see if Ken can hold on to that chip lead and take down his first HPT championship and walk away with the $90K that goes with it. Now, do you think you've got what it takes to sit at our final table? Well, then log on to hptpoker.com to find out about our upcoming events that anybody can play in. For James Larson and Fred Bevel, I am Chris Hansen, and we'll see you next time right here on the HPT.